So I want to ask you now about something that is a common challenge that I think a lot of people face when they're changing their relationship to alcohol, and that is sleep.
Oh,
The
yeah.
fact that lots of people use alcohol to sleep and to fall asleep at night, and they find that if they're not drinking copious amounts, they have a hard time sleeping. What can you say about this based on your experience and working with people who have this challenge?
It is such a vicious circle. This is the cortisol nightmare that I always talk about with people. Okay, so back in the day when we were cavemen and we had to survive, and a saber-toothed tiger came out of nowhere while we were out hunting and gathering, we had something that was called a stress response, which released cortisol from the adrenal gland, hence the word adrenaline, in our body that would give us that little window of opportunity to get the hell out of the way from the saber-toothed tiger. That is cortisol. It gives you a shot of this. Your heart starts to pound and you're running. Okay, that is that, and you feel stressed and anxious. That's cortisol in your system. Well, when the body releases that for an emergency situation, it's going to shut down a lot of other things. Your immune system, your ability to procreate in a good manner, to produce eggs and sperm. It's going to shut down digestion. So all of these things suddenly shut down because your body is reserving this cortisol and this shot of adrenal basically to get through this stressful situation. Okay. So in the 1950s, they started studying alcohol and cortisol levels. And in 1966, there was the first study that actually did this, but ironically by Dr. Mendelsohn and all, so much like John Mendelsohn from Ria Health. But it wasn't him because he's too young for this. So they did this study and they found that people who were drinking even lightly, had higher levels of cortisol. Alcoholics had even higher levels of cortisol. And then non-drinkers, of course, had your regular low level of cortisol. Well, what cortisol will do, the more you drink, it will produce that feeling of anxiousness and stress and the heart palpitations in the middle of the night, especially when the alcohol starts to wear off. So when you start to go to sleep because the alcohol is now making you sleepy, what's going to happen is the alcohol starts to wear off, the sugar kicks in, the cortisol kicks in, and now you're wide awake at 3 a.m. thinking, oh my God, my life is over. I'm going to die. I have to pay those bills. I'm going to lose my job. I'm such a loser. I'm a failure. Oh my God, I can't believe how much I drank. That's called the 3 o'clock in the morning nightmare, the wolf hour. That's the cortisol hour. So here's the good news is that they tested people while they drank, and then they tested people who are abstinent from alcohol or reduced their alcohol consumption. So you've got the alcoholics, which still had very high, they actually tested it in the hair, very high levels of cortisol. And then you have the abstinent people who used to have issues with alcohol, and you have the non-drinkers. And the good news is that even the people who used to misuse alcohol, their cortisol levels eventually went down to normal levels, just like a non-drinker. So that's why when we talk about getting your sleep back with sobriety or abstinence, you get your sleep back in such a beautiful way. You go from somebody who used to be able to sleep. Look at when you were a child, you literally fell asleep anywhere, in the car, on your mom or dad's shoulder. You fell asleep everywhere. And then as we became teenagers, we slept more and more and more and more because we needed more sleep. And then as an adult, you start drinking and alcohol starts interrupting your sleep. And then when you become physically dependent on alcohol, especially, that is when you have no decent sleep, no REM sleep, nothing. You're not sleeping, you are passing out. Basically what your body is doing is just drinking enough alcohol to just pass out. But that is not sleep. That is not REM sleep. That is not healthy sleep. That's not really sleep. That is fake sleep. And that's why you feel like crap. That is why your body cannot digest food properly, why you gain weight. That is why your immune system is down and you catch colds and flus. This is why you don't feel good in the morning. This is why you crave the wrong foods, because you're craving carbohydrates and sugar again, and caffeine, because you think that that's going to give you another up. And it's this vicious circle because you are just feeding and feeding the cortisol levels in your body. And all you're creating is stress and anxiety and lack of sleep. And I cannot tell you anything other than you've got to reduce your consumption, and you have to have alcohol-free days put in there, because otherwise you're never going to recover that beautiful natural state of sleep that we're all born with. So that is my lecture on cortisol levels and the importance of treating your body well. Everything's going to function better. I mean, you talk about people when they're really misusing alcohol and they don't have a normal digestive system. Their weight is all over the place. They're retaining tons of water. It's because your body's not functioning properly. You're not allowing it to have a break from this ethanol that you're putting in your system. It's screwing up your brain, your body, everything. You got to give it a break, and we have to get you to decrease your consumption. And if you can use a medication to do that, and therapy and coaching and peer support, please do it. It is so worth it. I can tell you, just for myself, even when I was just lightly drinking, I still had disrupted sleep. And now that I've been a year and a half abstinent, I got to tell you, my sleep is just gorgeous. It's like, it's perfect. And for somebody, with hormone changes and all that, and lots of stress and anxiety in my life, I lost a parent recently. I mean, all of that, I'm still sleeping, which is just such a gift. It's such a gift. So it's really important to be aware of that and understand why you're wide awake at 2, 3 in the morning. That's why. It's a physiological issue, and you can help that issue by reducing your consumption.
I learned so much from you just now. I'm going to have to rewatch this video just to digest that more. That's so informative and helpful, because so often I hear people say, oh, alcohol makes me sleep. Now I'm drinking less, I can't sleep. But it's fake sleep, essentially. It's not real sleep. And there's going to be likely a transition period, it sounds like, when you're kind of adjusting and changing your relationship to alcohol. And you might lose a few nights of sleep, and it might be challenging, but it's all going toward healing and better sleep ultimately in the future. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yes, absolutely. And what you want to do is just take those. What I really, really recommend people do is if you are decreasing your consumption, and let's say you have an alcohol-free day, you've aspired to that and you finally fulfilled it, but you can't sleep, stop stressing out about it and get out of bed and do something, but don't watch TV, don't get on your computer. So go write in your journal, go down into your kitchen and have a little bit of yogurt or a glass of warm milk or some magnesium or calcium supplement. Do some crafts, do something that doesn't involve looking at a screen. And then when your body naturally starts to get tired again, go back to bed and just try and make sure your bedroom is cool. Make sure that your bedroom is very dark. Don't use any devices before bedtime. That just activates the brain and even shoots even more confusing signals to the brain. So all of this sleep hygiene, they call, you can just Google sleep hygiene, and anybody who's going through this, just know that you're going to come out the other end with beautiful sleep. And it is so worth the couple weeks when your brain is just adjusting to this, lack of alcohol, which is a good thing. It's a good thing.